If you are an executive or leader in the mortgage banking industry, you're going to want to listen to this episode and hear what HousingWire Editor-in-Chief Sarah Wheeler has to share. Sarah, welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast.
I'm so glad to be on here.
So, Sarah, every day we cover what's happening in the world of mortgage banking. What is it that you see from your vantage point as editor-in-chief? What really helps the greatest and best business operators in mortgage banking separate themselves and their organizations from the pack?
At a high level, I would say the first thing is they have to know where is the market heading, right? So rates, home prices, inventory, consumer credit worthiness, like all of the external factors that are going to affect their business at a high level, they have to know like, where is the ball going? Like someone's thrown it. I've got to run to the ball, right? And I think a lot of that comes from that high level.
That is a spot on and aligns with HousingWire's vision of providing the full picture. So housing market data, what's happening in the housing market, incredibly important. Let's go deeper. Let's go operational. What are the best operational leaders focused on in mortgage banking?
Yeah. Controlling costs right now, huge. Everybody knows that. But, in this low volume environment, it's more important than ever. If your whole structure was like, yeah, we can get away with that in the messy, parts of 2020 and 2021, as we all know that's changed so much. So really having a tight control on costs, what that means in terms of operational efficiencies, how are you leveraging tech where appropriate? LO comp is a huge part of that. I think that all of those things work together, and we've seen the most successful companies and the best leaders really leading their companies there. Taking a proactive approach, not waiting at all.
Earlier this week on your podcast, HousingWire Daily, you hosted Barry Habib as your guest. He shared some excellent vantage points on where he thinks the market is going in terms of rate, volume, refi. How do you tie out some of those housing market dynamics with where volume and like business opportunity is going for mortgage banking?
So one of the things he talked about was he really laid out the case for refi, even, not waiting till things are in the low fives. He really broke out like at this level, if they're in the low sixes, here's the number of people who are going to be able to refi it, get into the fives, here's the number. And so he's like, how are you ready for those low rates? How have you positioned your business for those low rates? Because it is a whole different thing, right? And if you haven't contacted people, he talked about a strike price, like it's being in contact with your borrowers, your prospective borrowers, like here's where we're going to jump and be ready. And so that you're not behind the ball, because if you don't jump when that's hot, you're losing that buyer. And that's another big thing is like you have in this environment, everyone is trying to poach your buyer. They might already be poaching. You don't even know it. So the whole idea of how are you doing those relationships?
Well, I think the key here is defining who owns the relationship. And there's going to be probably three parties, if not more, who think of that entirely differently. One of the topics that's been really popping out to me, especially after the HousingWire AI Summit, which we hosted in Dallas in July, is this new breed and new focus on technology with mortgage servicers. Historically, servicers have been really poor at retaining borrowers after those borrowers go on and become repeat buyers and buy their next home and sell the original house and pay off the original mortgage or refi. So you have servicers who are thinking about, hey, this person is my MSR. It's my relationship, and they're going to do business with me in the future. You have the originator who's thinking, well, I originated the loan. They're going to come back to me. That's my relationship. You have a real estate agent who thinks, oh, this is my relationship. And I think, Sarah, and I fear and I'm excited simultaneously that there's a whole new dynamic coming where today's servicers are going to be much better at retaining borrowers than they have in the past, which creates an entirely new dynamic for originators who may be getting a little bit psyched about an upcoming refi wave and forgetting they have a new potential competitor or adversary, that servicer who's servicing the loan today.
I think that is so important. So in the past, that retention of for servicers was 19%.
Yep.
That's pathetic. Let's just be honest. That's pathetic. But if they're doing, Barry talked about how if they're doing any of these like very, very low hanging fruit kind of things, that jumps, right? So you're competing with the person who they have that ongoing relationship with. If you're a lender and you are not the servicer and you haven't figured out how to do that, you better start figuring that out really quick.
That's why I thought Barry's commentary on the strike price was so spot on. And having that conversation about what the strike price is before the market is at the strike price is mission critical. So like we've all read everybody at HousingWire at least, hopefully the audience has, all read the KBW, Keefe Bruyette & Woods research on the upcoming mini refi wave, which really starts to kick in when rates do drop below 6%. And there's a huge opportunity there. But if originators are sitting on the sideline waiting for rates to hit that point before they engage in conversation, the servicers or other refi-centric mortgage banks will beat them to the borrower.
Yeah, those other refi-centric mortgage banks. And we just had our AI summit. I've been talking to people about AI consistently for the last 6 months. There are all sorts of new things out there to know when someone's warm, to make that relationship, to be that person. So if you're not thinking about that and already doing some of that, I think you're already behind.
All right, Sarah. So we talked about the market. We talked about some lending techniques around strike price and making sure that people are operationally ready for any refi opportunity or even serving their repeat buyers. We also talked about some of the operational opportunities in terms of getting cost structure right, understanding current trends on LO comp. So Sarah, how are we bringing this knowledge to our audience at HousingWire?
This is my bread and butter. This is what I live and breathe every day. So this is in the pages of HousingWire in our articles. It's in our podcast, webinars, all these things. And it's in events.
So events. The HousingWire IMB Summit is coming up on October 1st. This will be our second one-day summit at HousingWire. So this summer, we mentioned earlier, we hosted the HousingWire AI Summit. It was an incredible event, a lot of mortgage banking topics. But this event coming up on October 1st, specifically designed for the leaders of mortgage banks, is going to bring knowledge from all the topics that Sarah talked about, from LO comp to servicing and refi dynamics to strategies for scaling up, talking about regulatory issues, even succession planning and M&A. Like the topics that we're going to cover at this event are the things that our sources and our audience members are talking to us about, talking to our reporters about, and what we believe are the top of mind topics to really help our audience win in 2025 and beyond. Sarah, what can our attendees at the HousingWire IMB Summit expect on October 1st?
I'm so glad you asked. And it's not just topics, which you've mentioned, it's the angle of the topics. So our goal in this is like, we get to the meat, we get you what you need, and we get out and we get on to the next thing. So we have really structured this format the same that we did with the AI Summit, hugely popular. I've heard from so many people, they're like, thank you, that was amazing. And, as we're talking to the speakers, were like, what's your best 15 minutes? Like, what's your best 20 minutes here? Like, you don't have a lot of time, so we got to get right to it. And the angle is always, how is this going to affect how someone does their business? How do they take this information and apply it to their business so that they are more profitable, so they're one of the winners, so that they're the ones that are on top when we're in 2025?
And we've talked about the speakers. We mentioned the speakers a little bit. We've also been promoting them because I think it's one of the most attractive parts for guests to attend our event. And I'm particularly excited about some of the speakers that'll be participating in panels as well as doing kind of headline keynotes. So we have Matthew Van Vossen from Absolute Home Mortgage, Kevin Peranio, which I think our audience and anybody on LinkedIn knows and appreciates, Emery Pippin from FHFA, Sean Panosian from Rate, Greg Scher from NFM, Michael Dubeck, the CEO and president at Planet Home Lending. It's really an incredible group. I could go on. I think it's like 20 more speakers we already have locked in. Some people who you're familiar with, you've seen on social, you've seen other events, and others that you've never seen on an event stage.
And I think that's we always look at like, who can we bring in new that is an amazing person doing amazing things that they don't know about. I love all the people you mentioned. Brett Ludden from Sterling Point Advisors on our M&A playbook. He sees it all. And he's bringing the tea for us to talk about what's changing in M&A. It's changed even in the last 3 months. So he has like up to the minute. And I think that's the other thing that really distinguishes our events, because we are a news organization and because we do things fast, Clayton. You're the one who started this. This is from top down. We are a fast moving, action first, action oriented business. And so a lot of these panels, even they're being pivoted as we speak, because it's like things have changed radically in the last 3 weeks in some of these things. And we're going to be, making sure we are up to the minute right up until October 1st.
Yep. And we also have the involvement of some great organizations in our industry. So Bob Rooksmith, the president and CEO at the NBA, is going to be speaking at the event. Taylor Stork, who is a lender, but also leads the Community Home Lenders of America Association, is partnering with us on this event. The NBA Impact Group, which is the leaders under the age of 40 in the industry. We're really trying to support bringing the next generation of leaders into this knowledge base. They're partnering us. The Impact is going to help with a 5K the morning of the event and also say a few words at the luncheon. Pretty incredible involvement across the industry of mortgage banking. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me as a guest today. I want to tell our audience real quick how they can sign up. So if you visit housingwire.com, we have an events tab, and under that is the IMB Summit, or you can write down this URL, events.housingwire.com/IMB Summit. But we'll drop that link in the show notes and make it easy for you to sign up for this event. This episode is dropping right before Labor Day weekend, and we're actually running a Labor Day promo. This will be the best possible rate that you can register for the event at. So check your inbox, visit housingwire.com, sign up for the IMB Summit. We will not disappoint. We've gotten pretty damn good at putting on events. Our guests are always happy. They always learn and they come back. So join us at the IMB Summit. This one's going to be fabulous.
You don't want to miss this one. Thank you so much for having me on, Clayton.
That's a wrap. Everyone have a great weekend.